Good evening. Thank you everyone for joining us. Guys, thank you so much for your comments. Guys, we are working on this little studio we've got here. I know the back's not that pleasing for you. I know we're having sound quality. I know the camera that I'm using is literally just the one that's standard issue with Microsoft. When we started these videos, guys, we never thought we'd be doing so many of them. These literally just started by Sarah putting the camera in my phone and asking me, questions on really deep issues. And I was just hitting them for six and saying exactly what had happened because, I just do this in my life. I've got like 24 years experience of working in all these countries that are at conflict with each other. I speak English sometimes. I speak Russian, Ukrainian, 2 dialects of Arabic. I've been all over the place, and when things happen on the news, I say no, that's not going to happen because of X, Y, and Z. And a lot of these times, what people don't take into consideration is the human factor. What do I mean by the human factor? Kind of the culture factor. You need to, and people don't, unless you've lived in these places, and unless you know these people and you understand the culture, it's very difficult for us with our Western eyes to understand what's actually happening in the world. So I think for Sarah to really start pushing this camera in my face, it was the 2022 invasion of Ukraine, and I said exactly when it would come. It wasn't a lucky guess or anything. It was just knowing and looking what's happening on the ground. It costs a lot of money to move those troops into place. Now, once they're in place, you need to do something with them or lose that money. And, the invasion of Ukraine is heavily dependent on the weather because it's very difficult to ride tanks over these fields in Ukraine when it's when it's boggy, so you're mid-season, when it's not hot and when it's not cold, when it's like, in between, because it gets muddy. So I said, well, it's going to come this winter because there's that many troops there, and if it doesn't come by the winter, the very latest that they can leave it, which they probably will, because I know the culture out there, they'll probably leave it till late February. And guess when it happened? February 24th, 2022. And, she was like, oh my God, you were so right. I was like, well, yeah, I know. When you understand and you can see these things, it doesn't become, it's not difficult to understand. It's not difficult to see where these chips fall. So what I want to mention here briefly, guys, before we move on. This video, I want to talk mainly about this preparation list that the government's put out. I want to talk about sabotage that's going to be, guys, we're going to get sabotage this year in the UK this summer. I don't feel there's any way it can't happen. We're also going to talk about the ceasefire in Ukraine that Putin's proposing, and we're going to talk about the Falklands Islands, Antarctica, and then, guys, I'm going to try and tie that all together at the end. So stay with me to the end, guys. Tell me how I did. So, quick history of the Falklands then, guys. I'm going to run through this because I don't want this to be, a history lesson. But 1982, 2nd of April, Argentina invades the Falkland Islands. Royal Marines surrender. It's a pretty much of a standing joke in the military about Royal Marines surrendering. If you know any Royal Marines, that's why they do lots of pull-ups, because at no situation do they want to be in at no phase in their careers do the Royal Marines want to be in a situation where they can't surrender really quick. That's why they do lots of pull-ups, because they can surrender really quick, getting their hands up. Anyway, no, that's a true story, guys. Go and look it up. 2nd of April, the Argentinians invaded the Falkland Islands. The 5th of April, like 3 days later, Britain sent a task force under Thatcher down there to take back the Falkland Islands. Guys, now if you think how long things are taking now, think how long it's taking for things to happen now, as we are in the world right now. How long it's taking to get decisions, how long it's taking to get this, how long it's taking to get that. When I looked at this video, when I thought I'd do a quick history, this 3-day timeline became very, very suspicious. Now, I'm not going down any conspiracy routes, but there could be some people who would think, How did that get passed so quickly to send a task force down to the Falklands, when now it takes months, if anything, and there's, you know, there's the Liberals who are saying, oh no, we don't want the Falklands, you know, there's, you know, the others, and then there's all this argument and debate. Not back in 82, that they took 3 days and the task force was sent. Anyway, task force went down there, you know, they took back the Falklands. There's plenty of videos about that. Incidentally, my first instructor in the military, he was a Falklands vet, and you know, that's you know, he told me a lot of stories about that. Anyway, what came out in 2003 was that Britain sent down nuclear weapons to the Falkland Islands. So guys, you know, you're not going to send them if you've got no intention of using them. What I think is really interesting is also that there was a book released by the psychiatrist of the 1982 French president. And in that book, it says, so, you know, this is not me saying it, this is somebody else saying it from word of a word, so take of it what you want, guys, all right? In that book, it said that when he was, you know, speaking to the then French president, he said that Margaret Thatcher had threatened him with basically nuking Argentina if the French didn't give Britain the like launch codes or frequencies or something of the Exocet missiles that the Argentinians were using. Guys, I don't know that much about that missile system. It's not a British system, so why would I? But as I understand it, the missile system was operating on some frequency. If you understand the frequency and the gap, the band gap or whatever, you can jam it or send it off course. I don't know, but anyway. So that's what the story goes there, guys, right? Now, whatever you... guys, and just a quick caveat of today's world. I watched a few videos earlier of Margaret Thatcher. And, guys, I only wish we had a leader with half the moral fortitude of that lady. If you, whatever you think of her, whatever you thought of her, go and watch some of her videos. And listen to her articulation when she's talking about a certain subject. It's just brilliant, and when you listen to her talk and articulate, you believe what she's saying, and she's got conviction in what she's saying, and she doesn't seem like a used car salesperson, or she doesn't seem like she's got any other agenda than doing the right thing for what she believes. Now, you can disagree with her all you want, but when you listen to her, she believes what she's saying, and she's, you know, and she's adamant about that. And I kind of respect that in anyone. But anyway, guys, you know, and just, you know, the way we are today in the world, especially in the UK, we don't really seem to have anyone like that, unfortunately. But anyway, so keeping that in mind, guys, that 3-day time period, because now if we understand that whoever controls the Falklands controls Antarctica, it kind of all makes sense why that needed to happen and why that decision got made within 3 days. Now, Britain went down there with nuclear weapons. There was no way that Britain was not winning that conflict. The only question was how much human life was going to be lost. So the Falklands are very, very important if people are willing to go to those lengths to protect them. So now with the conflicts brewing around the world, it's come out in mainstream media that about all this oil. I told you guys about this like, God, it seems like weeks ago, but I don't know. I told you guys a long time ago about the oil and about the Russian threat down there. Remember, the Russians have said they will strike British targets in Ukraine and elsewhere. And guys, when Putin said elsewhere, I think he's talking about the Falkland Islands. And I just do. I've got a hunch. I don't know why I'm thinking that. It's just a feeling I've got inside. And I think that's one of the things he's looking at. Because if the Falklands is a wasteland and there's nothing there, then, you know, the Argentinians can claim it. The Argentinians can just put ships around it and say, yeah, it's ours now, it's done. What do you want this wasteland back? But the reality is the Falklands is the key to Antarctica. I'll put a link to that in the description. Now, if that happens, then the Russians can just move straight in and start taking the oil. There's so much oil and resources down there, guys, all right? Already, with the initial survey that the Russians did, they found 500 years worth of oil, 500 years for the UK. Now, that's just the initial survey. That's without going onto the land. That's without going all the way around it. That's just what they found initially in British-controlled areas. So, guys, honestly, it's absolutely wild times that we're living in. So, guys, so I'm going to switch fire now quickly onto this emergency list, and then I'm going to bring this back to this talk about the ceasefire in Ukraine and how that's, and I'm going to try and tie it all in. So, what have the government said? I'm looking here on the government website now, guys, and I'm going to go straight, I'll put the link into the bio. Not the bio, the description. I'll put, yeah, guys. So we've got, put together the emergency kit list that these guys give, and I'm going to talk through it now and just give some comments on each one of these things, guys. Okay, and a lot of this stuff, it's stuff you should have lying around the house anyway. But they're talking about, I think they said 72 hours or maybe 3 days. Is that the same thing? I don't know. In my head, I'm thinking they've got 72 hours, but anyway. So they're talking about 72 hours for this emergency survival kit or emergency crisis kit or whatever. Now, I've never known the UK have a new website and just, why are they doing this? It'd be good to get a realistic explanation of why this is happening. So remember what I've been talking about, guys. I've been talking about sabotage in the UK, soft war, where you don't send your, you don't send missiles, you don't send bombs, you just send a couple of fixers with 100 grand each, and you say, right, do as much damage with 100 grand as you can. And guys, you would be surprised how little you can pay people to do acts of violence, especially when people are desperate. We have 31,000 people in the UK, migrants, who've gone missing. Could you pay them? I mean, where are they getting their money from? They've gone missing from the system. That means that the government are not giving them any money. They've gone missing from the hotels, so, as I assume. So where are they living? I mean, are we going to have I don't know, people in the woods? You're going to go Robin Hood? I don't know. But basically, yeah, where are these people? All right. So these are people who fled. Now, these guys are apparently, as I understand, these are the people who failed the asylum application system or whatever. And these are people who are earmarked for Rwanda. Well, let's consider why these people failed the asylum, test or whatever it is. Could it be they're criminals? I don't know. But 31,000 people, if we only say 1% of those people are willing to do criminal acts, that is still a huge army that you've got, basically, of undocumented people who can move freely, who have no fixed abode. It becomes very difficult to find these people, even if you get their fingerprints, even if you get their DNA. It becomes even if you get their picture on CCTV, it becomes very difficult to trace these people, very difficult to find these people. And for a little bit of money, you can have a really big effect. Again, it's really easy. You just tell 50 people, right, all go to your local water sources and destroy a water pipe on this day at this time. It's a criminal effect. It's a criminal act. But think how much devastation that would cause if it happened all at once. Where's all this bottled water going to come from? Where's all this, all the repairs to the pipes? Because I can guarantee you that the water companies, they don't have this in place. No, they've just been taking our money. They've just been taking our money and paying the shareholders. So the government are going to have to step in, which is we're going to have to step in. So our taxpayers' money is going to have to go into it. But guys, that's a different story. So let's go back to this list that the government's produced to say that we all need to keep us going for 72 hours. So battery or wind-up torch. Torches are safer than candles. Yes, of course. Now, what I would say with that is, make sure it's fair. We all should have lights. Try and get the solar ones. If you go over to our other platform, and this is not well, it kind of is a pitch, but we have a really good system of solar lights. So if you can get them, in fact, don't go to our other platform. Don't worry about it. We have some really good that you can get really good solar lighting systems, and we've got them in the house. We just put the solar panel in the window. I didn't actually realise how good these little solar lights were until our girls started using them in the playroom, and they had them on the bunk beds as like for the den. So we've got a set for each room now. And you know, you're going to need light, and you won't realize how dark it gets until you've got no lights and it's winter, and then it gets dark and it gets cold really, really quickly. We don't have any central heating in our house, so we have like an we do have central heating, but it's not gas fired. It comes from a log burner, which is good because we're not on the grid, but it's also bad because we have to feed that with an ungodly amount of wood. And it's all well and nice when people come over and they're like, oh, it's so beautiful in your house, you know, you've got a log burner. And I'm like, yeah, but the amount of wood I have to collect every year is unbelievable. And it's like round about September time, I start to have palpitations and panics. I'm like, oh God, I need to get about 10 ton of wood, because that's, you know, that's what we go through a year, about 10 ton of wood. And if you can, you know, visualize 10 ton of wood, it's a lot. Portable power bank. Yeah, you can pick these power banks up now, guys, from like your local store, B&M, wherever you go. Remember, get the highest milliamp that you can. Look on the pack. Don't just get the biggest one, because you know what they do. It's a little trick that they do, these manufacturers. They'll get like the big power bank, and it might only have a small milliamp return. Whereas you get the smaller one, it may, you know, it may have a bigger milliamp on it. But look for the milliamps on that, guys. All right, and also, try and get a solar kit. They're a little bit more expensive, but if you've got solar, your grid can be off and you can just put that in the window and have a little solar panel. They're really cheap now, guys, solar panels. The small ones. Spare batteries, yeah, spare batteries. I always go for the cheapest batteries that I can, because you know, you go through them so many, you go through them that often. Sometimes if you leave your batteries in something, it can turn on, and then you've wasted like a lot of money on expensive batteries, and they've wasted. So for me, I always go with the cheapest batteries. You know, I don't see any utility in spending like, I don't know, 10 quid or whatever it is, whatever you spend for a battery. When you're going to use it, you may leave the torch on, you may leave the radio on for whatever reason. You go out, you forget it, the batteries have worn out, and you've wasted all that money. So go for the cheapest batteries. First aid kit or some first aid items. We should all have first aid kit. Let me just look. Including items such as waterproof plasters, bandages, thermometer, antiseptic eye wash solutions. Okay, what I would say on there is try and get, guys, with first aid kit, I've done a lot of medical training, both taking the courses and teaching the courses. What I will say is there's nothing better than a good training course. I don't mean I kind of do mean a first aid course, but I mean a good medical training course. So you can go away to places, you know, that, you know, do like wilderness medicine, medicine in remote areas, all that sort of stuff, you know, and that gives you a good basis and a good knowledge, because just the kit's all right, but I'm just looking on here. Waterproof plasters, they're not really gonna do anything. If you need to put a plaster on something, it's kind of not life-threatening, it's just like a hindrance. Bandages, yeah, I mean bandages, you can, if you've got a massive bleed, you can deal, you know, you can apply pressure and stop that bleed. But again, guys, you know, you need to be trained on how to do that. A thermometer, yeah, you need a thermometer if somebody thinks they're hot or not, I don't know. Antiseptic, yeah, I'll go with antiseptic, guys. That is a good one, because, you know, you see a lot, especially if you're in the jungle. I know we don't have jungle in the UK, but, you know, you see a lot of people getting little cuts. They don't clean them. They get infected. So antiseptic, I'd say that's a good one. But, you know, you can get a bottle of Dettol and just blast it in there. You'll be fine. Eye wash, yeah, eye wash solution, guys. I was repairing the roof in my house, and I got some OSB in my eye. I can't tell you pain like it. I went to the hospital, there was a massive weight, I thought, I'm not doing that. It got to a stage where it was that bad, I was crying, both eyes were shut, I just pulled my eyelid out and I scooped my finger out around it. It was horrific, guys, alright? So I wash, eye protection, obviously protection's better than a cure. Sterile dressings and gloves, yeah, okay. Medical tape for dressings and tweezers. Tweezers are a good one, guys, all right? I saw a friend of mine, I'll call it, yeah, Scalzi. We was in Kenya and we was doing a parachute jump, and Scalzi was coming down. He was on the second stick after me, and As he was coming down Scalesy, he was heading towards this bush in Africa, and the thorns were like that big, and he was heading towards it, and he was screaming as he was going towards it. It was like, Scalesy, steer away, steer away. And he went straight into it, and he had, oh, guys, get yourself some tweezers, because you don't want one of those things stuck into you. What I will say with the first aid kit, guys, all right, anything else that you guys need, I'd say on there as well. Things for insect bites for your kids, because they are horrific. Wasp stings are horrific. You know, we need to be able to cure those. Antihistamines, those sort of things. Because these are the things that are going to be in short supply when people start panic buying, and when people start to go in there, and they're the things that, you know, become really highly priced. Hand sanitizer and wet wipes, yeah, okay, whatever. Bottled water. There's no standardised figure for this, as emergencies can vary. Guys, I harp on about water all the time. I was stuck in Amuda, which is northern Syria, for 24 hours, and I had 2 litres of water. And I know what you're saying, you know, you can go 24 hours without water. Yeah, all right, whatever. I drank that 2 litres of water within like a couple of hours, and then the psychological problems, you know, thoughts I was having, it was terrifying. I always talk about this with the water. Everybody, please just get yourselves 24 hours water. 48 hours water, as they say in here, 72 hours water. Make sure you work on 3 litres per person per day. They've got it here as a minimum of 2.5 to 3 litres of drinking water per person per day, what I say. But by the World Health Organization for Survival, but then they're saying 10 litres will make you more comfortable. Guys, I struggle to see anyone drinking 10 litres a day. I don't know who you are, but anyway, I would work off 3 litres of water per person per day, and just put that somewhere, you know, put that somewhere. Now, the one up from that, think about Devon water now, guys. Think about what we've talked about, sabotage. Think about all these things culminating in the summer. If we have if we have a water shortage anyway, just because there's not been much rain and people have been using it. Remember, the water companies don't reinvest in the pipes. They don't reinvest in the water structure. So a lot of water naturally, well, not naturally, a lot of water is just lost anyway. So if we have a dry summer and then somebody says to a load of criminal gangs, right, go and smash up all the water pipes in these key areas, because guys, let's not be under any illusion, our enemies know where these key water strategic pumps are, and they can get criminal gangs to go in there, just sabotage it, destroy it. Criminal act. It'll never be put down to terrorism, it'll never be put down to sabotage, it'll just be a criminal act. Imagine now we have a dry summer and all these water systems go down. Where's that water going to come from? Where's it going to come from? Who's going to give you that water? Look what's happened to Devon water. Look how much water we need to give to people. Think about how they're going to get that water to you logistically. 3 litres per person per day. Where we live in Rotherham, there's 33,000 people. So 33,000 times 3 times days without water. Guys, it's a huge amount of water. So once you've got your water, if you want to go the next step up from that, get yourself a good water filter. Now there's loads of them on the market from these, specialist shops and whatever. Boil your water and just put it through a normal Brita filter or whatever you get from the supermarket. It will be fine, guys, all right? It will be fine. Or put it through the filter first, then boil it. It doesn't really matter which way. I'm sure there's somebody who'll tell me that it's better one way than the other. Doesn't really matter as far as I'm concerned. Boil it, filter it, boil it. Doesn't really matter. Actually, I'd probably filter it first. Yeah, it's going to save your kettle. Filter it first. Your kettle won't get as dirty. Get yourself a system that you can filter and drink your own water. Make sure with that you know where your local water source is. Reservoir, stream. Try and go down now, walk the dog, take the kids, make sure there's not raw sewage being pumped in there. If there is, try and get another place. Take your water security, take it on board yourself and take ownership of it. Guys, and it's such an empowering feeling once you do that. Non-perishable food. Next item, non-perishable food that doesn't need cooking, such as ready-to-eat tinned meat, fruit, vegetables, and a tin opener, of course. As with water, how much you will need varies on circumstances. Don't forget your pets. Yeah. Guys, you can spend your money wherever you want. However, what I will say, in fact, I don't know if I can roll over there without this coming out of my... in fact, we've got some here. In fact, I'm not going to show you. Guys, we've got some non-perishable food there. I buy it all the time, you know. When we go to like a supermarket, if I see it on offer, anything that's in a tin, as far as I'm concerned, will last years. I'm not telling you guys to eat that. I'm saying that's what I do. There's a lot of these really expensive camping foods out in the stores. They're really lightweight and they come in cool wrappers. Guys, you don't need them. Get whatever's got the highest calorie content on the back in the smallest tin. That's going to be your densest food. So like your stews, anything with steak in it, anything with meat in it, yeah, they're a bit more expensive, but you get so much more calorific content in that tin than you would if you got, you know, a load of tins with not that much high content in. And you are saving money because it's all about the calories when you're getting this food and you're storing it. It is literally all about the calories. So the way we work it in our house, hang on, let me think. We say, hello? Hiya. Oh God, I will. I'll go and open it now. Yeah, I'll go and, it's open now. It's open now anyway. Okay. It's open. Yeah, it's open. Alright, I'll see you in a bit, bye. Sorry guys, that was Sarah, she's on her way. Sorry for the interruption. Anyway, guys, we're not going to edit it out, we're just going to leave it. Yeah, so with the food, we work it, we go 60 grams of pasta, 60 grams of rice, 60 grams of carbohydrates per person per meal, and then we mix that with, you know, a half a tin of whatever with some vegetables, and that's, you know, that'll be one of our meals. You know, we do that with the girls. We say, right, you know, we're gonna have a camping dinner or whatever, and the girls come down and they cook the dinner in the basement with a little cooker, and then, you know, it's just a little thing we do on, you know, whenever we fancy it, really. Baby supplies also they've got on there, such as nappies, baby formula, ready-made meal, and all that sort of stuff. What I will put on there, guys, as well is babies and pet supplies. Don't forget your little fur balls, all right? Because you know, don't forget your pets need food, your pets need water, your pets need whatever your pets need, you know, as well as your children, because essentially they are your children, guys. Okay, guys, I'm conscious I'm at the time where we need to cut away. Yeah, I said I'd segue this together, didn't I, with the update on what's been happening. So Putin has now said he wants a ceasefire. Guys, you can't have a world where you want a ceasefire when you're occupying somebody's country, right? Bring this down to the smallest level, all right? Imagine somebody's taken half of your garden at home, and you're back and forth to the courts, and you know you're arguing, and he's saying, okay, Conrad, let's stop arguing. If you let me have this part of garden, you'd say, no, that's my garden. And that's kind of the same thing in Ukraine. So I think this is a 4D chess move from Putin. What I think's really key, and it kind of goes back to the nuclear threat about, you know, Argentina, the Falklands, Margaret Thatcher sending the nuclear weapons down. Putin is in Belarus at the moment, and they're talking about the strategic placement of their nuclear weapons. You know, they're probably there. Yes, Lukashenko, let's destroy the communist pigs. Sorry, let's destroy capitalist pig. You know, and they're probably talking like that. The implications of this are, obviously, when you've got the nuclear weapons, guys, it's very difficult for you to lose. And Putin is, at the moment, he's rehearsing his nuclear weapons all around the border with Ukraine. He's, you know, and he's moving forward. And guys, if we can go back to what I said about the 2022 invasion, you don't do these drills if you're not considering and giving thought to actually using them. Guys, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I will see you guys tomorrow.